All right, we're live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. I'm Stacy Jordan. I am the CEO and founder of Red Sleigh Workshop. Thank you for being here for our live show. We're happy to have today our special guests, Christmas callers. We have Lindsay Sutherland and we have Emily with us today. And welcome back to Slay the Season Live. I'm so glad everyone's here. If you're joining us on Facebook, please feel free to put in the comments where where you're from, and if you're in the Christmas industry, we'd love to hear about you. If you're watching the replay, do the same thing because we can definitely answer your questions later. If you own a Christmas light company, let us know. You're going to want to stick around to hear all of the great things about what we have coming up, because like everyone wonders, like, what do you do when you don't have a big sales team to do your outbound calling? And so here we are to talk about that. That's a big question I get all the time from my clients. Like, well, who's going to do this? We don't have a big sales team. That's okay. You don't need one. So I'm going to go ahead and do some introductions here. First, I want to introduce Patrick. And anybody who's watching, if you don't know Patrick yet, he's my business partner and at Red Sleigh Workshop. He is also the guy behind Monarch Projection. So you're going to hear more about that later. And he works with installers across the country on how to set up those projectors, but also he helps me he's a calm in the storm here at Red Sleigh Workshop. So before this live, I was telling him, like, I am not the calm one in situations. Like, I don't know how to handle that when people around me are not so calm. But that's what he does for us here. And he's also the operational side of Red Sleigh Workshop. And so if he wants to talk about himself a little bit, go ahead, Patrick, let people know who you are.
Well, I'm Patrick Russell. She said the Executive Vice President of Red Sleigh Workshop.
I didn't say that, but I should
Yeah,
have
she
next
forgot.
time. Yeah.
Um, and also, yeah, I mean, I handle all the logistics, all of our travel, all of our ordering. I work with a lot of installers about with all their logistics and a little bit of business coaching as well. Um, and then, yeah, Monarch Projection, we're doing some cool stuff with that. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, excited to be here. Excited to see Lindsay and Emily. They're, some partners we've worked with for a little while, almost a year. And so, yeah, just seeing how their company has grown and what they've been up to, it's been really exciting and excited to have them on and share all of their knowledge and, get some of these installers to up their game a little bit.
That's right. That's what it's about. Thanks, Patrick. And yes, Executive Vice President and co-founder of Red
Yeah,
Slate Workshop. All right. So
49%.
I want to go ahead and introduce everybody to Emily and Lindsay from Christmas Callers. These ladies live right in the Christmas world. We're always talking about on here, from the leads to phone calls to follow-ups. The customer experience is so important, and these ladies know a lot about that. We're also going to talk about the huge convention that's coming up because we're getting really close to it, and there's a lot happening coming up in Orlando. So Emily and Lindsay, welcome to Slay This Season Live. If you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick, and then I'll go into some questions. And if anyone has questions on Facebook or here in the Zoom call, please just put them in the chat, and Patrick's going to be monitoring the Facebook for those questions. So I think
Cool.
Whitney's on here too somewhere. So Whitney, if you're here, go ahead and let us know. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, I'm
All right.
Lindsay. Stacy, I'm like you. Lindsay is my calm one. She's the one who just brings me down and everything's fine and it's wonderful. So I'm with you. I'm over here spinning and figuring things out, and Lindsay calms me down. So I'm right there with you. I'm really the one who kind of works behind the scenes, helping with any type of processes, automations, making things run really effectively and efficiently, where Lindsay is much more works with, like a lot of the front end clients and our callers and things, and she'll tell you about that. But I actually live right outside of Orlando. So I'm super excited because, we have everything coming here. So if anybody needs any local recommendations, I definitely have them. And I get to meet Lindsay because she doesn't live in Florida. It's the first time we're actually going to meet in person, which is crazy. So that's super exciting.
It is. I am super excited. And I'm excited about Emily told me we get to work in her pool. I haven't been in a pool in like years because I live in North Idaho where it snows. So not many pools around here. Um, and I'm actually at the county fair. My kids are showing this week. So popped over here and sitting in a car doing this, but I'm grateful to be here.
We're glad you're here.
Me too. It's been a fun week. So But my name's Lindsay. I spent 20 years in the automotive industry and moved out here from Phoenix about 8 years ago. Took part in a solar company for a while, helped overhaul that business. But that kind of gave me really good experience about what a service-based business is like and what it's like to run it, boots on the ground. And when we built Christmas Collars, I really wanted it to be operated the way I would want it if I was the installer. And that's important because how many like services do we hire as business owners that we have to make our business fit into their, rules? And that's kind of one of the benefits of it is that we can, to an extent, we can customize our processes to fit your needs, like what types of businesses you want called, what specific locations, how do you want us to handle your appointments, and all of that stuff. So it's probably one of the most boutique type services out there that I know of. I spent 20 years in the car business, like I said, and a lot of that was setting up call centers. I worked in service department, I worked in sales, so I have a lot of experience all the way around customer relations and training and management and that kind of thing. So that's what I bring to the table, and that's why I'm usually the one like training, managing the team, keeping them motivated, keeping them focused, lip loading them is what I call it when they need that extra pizzazz or something to say to overcome an objection. And so we're always working through those things.
Perfect. Well, we're glad to have you guys, and Stacy went somewhere. I have no idea, but um, so yeah, Christmas collars. How did you come up with Christmas collars, and what does Christmas collars do exactly?
Okay. So it all started on a February day in San Antonio, Texas, with great barbecue that Patrick hooked up.
Right? I
um,
wish.
it really was. But anyway, I was there for a Red Sleigh workshop event and, talking about Biz in a Box, talking about our CRM company and some of that stuff. And I saw Stacy at the top of the room. And I think if I had a quarter for every time that she said, you got to make those calls, you guys got to make those calls, I'd be able to go buy myself an ice cream down here at the county fair because, I looked around the room and I thought to myself, I just don't know if they're going to make the calls the way that it needs to be done because they don't have the time. So many of the guys in the room, as I looked around, I could tell were busy and they had second businesses they were running year round. And knowing what I know about call centers and how many calls it takes to get a deal, I'm like, that's going to require more tenacity, more time. And I felt the nudge, like God's like, you can do this. I'm like, I don't know. So Stacy and I went out and she's like, yes, they need this. This is definitely helpful. Definitely go push the button, green light. She's like, make it happen. And I came back. I remember I called Emily and I'm like, so Emily, how do you feel about being a virtual call center? Because I knew she'd never thought of that or done anything like that before. She's like, I mean, I love the Christmas industry and I don't see any reason no. And if you're going to help me, then I can do it. And I'm like, okay.
I'm like, I can build it. I just don't know anything about the call center life.
Yeah.
Are you
I was at a call center for a cruise line when in my 20s, but it was all inbound. It was very different.
right?
Yeah.
Are you a big cold calling person, Emily?
No,
Yeah, it's funny. We
it's not
talked
going to
to
happen.
a
Not a
lot of
chance.
the installers, and it's like, well, who do I need to get a hold of? And even when they find out how to get a hold of them, they may call them and leave them a voicemail, but that's it. Or they hate cold calling. I mean, I'm one of, not a lot of people who I enjoy cold calling. It's a challenge to me. Um, it's not like I wake up and think about cold calling, but when I have the opportunity to do it, I enjoy it. So I definitely have a lot of other things that are on top of my enjoyment list above cold calling, but I'm not afraid to do it and I don't mind doing it. So as
But
as
as a business owner, like how much time could you dedicate to that on a regular basis? That's the
well,
hard
yeah,
part.
I mean, we use Christmas callers because we're so busy that we don't even have time to respond to the leads that we're getting and filter through those. So yeah, even for us, it's great. I mean, we're not, calling resorts or cities or whoever to try to get appointments to bid jobs, but just on our end, having you guys call our leads and follow up with them, and that's the biggest thing is the follow up. A lot of times people might talk to someone and then they get lost, in the world, and that opportunity is gone. Where with Christmas callers, they're calling, and then then you guys set the appointments, which is awesome. So you're doing all the big steps that are time consuming and you can get kind of frustrated with and um, kind of lose your mojo, but you guys are just persistent in getting that meeting so then we can actually go talk face to face, which is where most of the people in this industry shine is, once you get in front of somebody.
Yeah. Well, and
That's
that's
so
the
true.
thing. Like I've always said, like in all of the businesses, that I've really done with consulting and things, I've always said, like, I want to help business owners really work where they're passionate and like work with their superpower, right? Like what they love to do. They don't love to set up these calls, right? That's not, they love to go in and do the site walks and do the estimates, maybe, and then install, and get the excitement of getting the bid. And so it's fun because once we start to talk to them and we see them start getting, some good results, they get so excited and then they're calling us, and then our callers get so excited, like, oh my gosh, I got a hold of someone and they're interested and we're going to book an appointment. And like, it's so fun because we get to hear all of that building. And then eventually, months down the way, oh my gosh, we got it.
Right.
So it's exciting.
So how does the process work? So if they, I mean, I know how it works, but for those people watching who have no idea, which, they probably don't, they're just, okay, whether they make phone calls for me, or how does the process work? So if I were to contact you as a business, walk me through, the setup and kind of the goals, or however you pitch it. And then, yeah, just walk us through it, please.
Well, there's four basic components I tell people. So the first is the caller. Our callers are US based callers. These are people that what I look for is people who have a customer service heart, because one thing that I will tell you about making these calls is you got to be able to make a friend with a stranger in 10 seconds, like, or less, really. And so you've got to have a servant heart. You've got to have that ability to care. The care factor has to be there. So those are the big things that we look for. Like Emily said, the callers just get so excited, because they're invested and they're all their time and energy into it. So but you also get the whole team. Like what's really, this just occurred to me the other day. I've been saying like you get the US caller, but you really get the whole team. We have myself, we have Emily, but we also have a new person named Ashland who's in charge of our list process, which we're going to dig into next. But really, I mean, that's the whole beauty of the whole thing, because when you've ever sat to make cold calls, you first have to spend the hours to dig up the contacts and then make the calls and flesh out who's the right person and then update your database, and all that stuff is the tedium. Our callers don't do that part, right? We have a list team that does that part, and then we have the caller just focus on calls, or that's what keeps them efficient. So the callers and the team is a really big important component. The list pulling is what I thought was the most, would be the easiest, honestly. Emily and I laugh about that because I was like, oh, come on. With AI, it's going to be a cakewalk. It has turned into the most pain in the butt of all the things. Keeping track of, exactly what the client is asking for as far as exactly what types of properties they want. What have we already pulled? What's next to pull? Keeping that communication, keeping that list fresh, because, businesses come up all the time. You got to go back and look for the same type of people you might have already looked for before. Keeping all the records. That's like a whole, that's why we brought on a person for it, frankly, because it was a big project. So that in and of itself is, to me, worth its weight, because the client gets to keep the list, and we're not just sitting here in a boiler room with a bunch of people making phone calls and we dangle a carrot with a lame appointment that you have to turn into something. These people are going to, for the most part, fit the criteria that you've asked for. There could be some exceptions. I definitely try not to pre-qualify too much, because that's not really our job. We don't want to tell somebody no when it could be a yes. But we definitely go through the process with you as the installer and figure out, what types of businesses you want to target, what zip codes and a radius around your business that you want us to target, and those types of things. So that's the list part of it. The third
Okay.
is our tech component. That's just what keeps everybody organized. Somebody actually asked me today about that in a little bit different detail. And I said, look, think of it like the backbone structure. It's what keeps it. Our process is very cookie cutter, but what's nuanced is the delivery and how we work with each installer, because that allows us to have a trainer. We have Serena, who's our trainer, so she can fill in if needed. Like, we had one of our callers had a death in the family and had to take some time off suddenly. Because of our process and because everything is done the same way, she was able to fill in for him and keep that train moving forward until he could come back. And then lastly is accountability. I love meeting with our clients. I try to meet with them at least twice a month if they can do that. I know sometimes they're really busy, so we might only meet once a month. But this really is a collaboration. We are working to build a collaboration with the installer. So I like to talk about what's working, what's not working, what can we do differently. The installer has access to the whole CRM. So you can see the notes, you can see the reports all the time. It's complete transparency. Even the installer can jump in and also participate. We have some installers who are very hands-on. They want to learn, they want to put in their notes. They're maybe connecting out on LinkedIn in addition to us doing our messaging and by messaging, I mean email and phone calls. The only thing we don't really do is texting, because a lot of times it's landline. So we don't really text unless we get a hold of someone and they ask for that. But we are doing those phone calls and email outreach. So that's
People
the
still
four
have
basic.
landlines?
In businesses, yes.
Oh, wow. Wild.
Well,
I
it's
remember
cool
that.
because the process is kind of evolving, right? Like we have it really dialed in, but once in a while someone will be like, "Hey, I want to look at this. Like, can you do it?" Okay. And then we find that it really helps everybody. So it's really nice because we do have a team, but we're small enough that we can make those changes on the fly right when we need to, which is really exciting. Or we had a client yesterday, he messaged us, he said, "Hey, I was driving and I saw this place. Can you guys reach out?" Okay, yeah, we'll see what we can do to get the contact, and we'll have our enrichment team work on that. So those kind of things that make it doesn't feel like you're part of this huge call center, because you're not. You have your dedicated caller.
Right.
So
And I'd like to talk about the collar a little bit. Just, you know, I we use Christmas collars, and I've heard Lindsay talk about it a couple times, but you know, when you get assigned a caller, can you talk about like they can look at your schedule, like all the customization that you get with the caller, because they're not calling from Christmas callers. They're
That's right.
calling
Yeah.
from the individual company. And for me, it's another add-on to your team.
mhm.
Um, it's not just, oh, hey, this is, Patrick from Christmas Callers. No, this is Patrick from Right Quick Lighting. So could you talk about that a little bit? And then,
Yeah.
how each client kind of can customize, their schedules, or, boundaries that they have, or,
Mhm.
and I think I heard you talk about like traffic wise too, because some of
Yes.
us
Are you
live in
talking about
some,
car? Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So one example, I'll first start by saying I know what other call centers do, right? They say these are qualified leads and you're going to pay per lead. So they give you anybody who says they're interested, and then they charge you for it, right? And you're left to turn the chicken poop into chicken soup, so to speak. This is this. You can tell I'm a farm girl. Okay, I have chickens. Um, but what I will say is this: this is much more like a fractional team member. I would say that if you're going to outsource something in your business, it's definitely a perfect thing to outsource. You're getting income producing activity from somebody, and you just can't do better than that if you're going to outsource. And I see so with that being said, when we onboard, so like we said in the beginning, we're a tech company. That's how we started. We understand how to get emails delivered, which is a big issue these days. It's like, it seems like you got to wave a magic wand almost. But part of our process is we do a very detailed setup with a tech system. That's our Business Box Solutions. And the reason we do that is because we have you set our caller up with their own email. So like outreach at your domain. They get their own dedicated phone number with a voicemail that's like, "This is Lindsay with Right Quick Lighting." And then that way, if somebody calls back into the system, they get my personal voicemail. I check my messages just like I would if I worked in your office. So the reason we do that is we're getting like a 50% open rate on our emails. We take time to go through a registration process to make sure the calls don't look at like spam when they're getting called out. It shows up with your caller ID. All of those things take a little bit of time in the beginning. So with that being said, there's usually like a 10-day setup time where we're warming up your email and doing some different things. But all of it does is it sets your caller up. And again, it's still systemized so that if we ever had to make a change with a caller or have somebody fill in, everything stays the same. That email stays the same. The phone number everything just keeps clicking along. So that's really what it is. It's like a fractional team member that's calling on behalf of your company, making all those dials, keeping the notes in a system that you have access to. A lot of times you get people who say, I'm interested, but call me back in August or, even worse in September. I tell those to installers and they're like, God, no. But we train the callers to push back a little bit and say, hey, if you're looking for a lighting guy who's worth their weight, their salt, it's really in your best interest to push the meeting up to August just because the schedules do fill up really fast for anybody who's good. Is there any reason why we couldn't meet a little sooner? And we just gently push and get them to, try to consider doing something sooner. We're not high pressure salespeople representing your company looking like spammers. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we want to represent you the way, you would represent you.
We also have the callers not really be scripted. I think that's a big thing that I've really noticed coming from not really the call center background like Lindsay's had. I mean, I know like if I get a call, I'm like, oh, here we go, but if it's someone who's just like naturally talking like, hey, it's Emily. So I was going to see obviously sounding professional, but not like reading. People are so much
Right.
more apt to, and they're asking questions, they're getting them engaged. And it's not the same every time. So, like, if they call and talk to this person 3 times in a 6 month period, it's going to be a different conversation each time, which I think is really key too.
Yeah, it's more personable, more
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah, one of the things that I always preaching about and what Lindsay heard during the training was that commercial Christmas business doesn't just come because like it doesn't magically appear just because you have inventory or because you're in the Christmas lighting industry, right? We have to build that pipeline. And that pipeline, somebody has to identify the accounts, make the calls, follow up, get those meetings scheduled, keep the conversations going. And Christmas Colors helps the installers and those companies do that. That most of them don't want to do or don't have the time to do, right? And I think that the last training, I think I asked the question, who in this room loves cold calling? Me and Patrick raised our hand. Like we were the only one. I think maybe Lindsay was in one of those and she raised her hand too. And that was it out of the room of like
No, I'd be
25
sitting
people.
on my hands.
So she's like, and yeah, Emily's like, not me. But that's people, they flat out do not want to do it. But in commercial Christmas, we have to because people aren't out looking for us for these projects. People are already coming to them. If it's a big hotel, they may already be working with somebody, right? And the question is, are they working with somebody that's qualified to do what they want them to do? Are they working with somebody who they don't like working with and they're stuck with them and they don't know what else is out there? If these local installers and local Christmas companies don't get in front of the right decision makers, then they're never going to get the business. And that's the first thing. Like you can have the best portfolio, you can be the best designer in the world, but if the people don't know you exist, then you'll never get a job.
And
So
something I've seen come up is too, you mentioned the word local. There are certain areas and pockets where large companies are bringing in people that are, I don't know if they're chain companies or some of these conglomerates are buying up some of the smaller ones or if they're actually bringing them in. But they're finding it's hard to get their local guys that can get the job done, that kind of thing. So that's been a real selling point because when you onboard with Christmas callers, you do your tech setup call, but then you meet with your caller. So we have 2 meetings. And during that call with the caller, I'll say, tell me about your business. Tell the caller, I want her to really like understand your business. And one of those things that comes up a lot is we're local. That's a big selling point. So, that's just really an interesting point. It got me thinking about how, some of these larger companies, they might have the ability to run tons of ads, hire their own calling crew and, do all that because they have the oodles of money because they're doing it across the nation. But why not get that, you know, market share for yourself?
Right. So I shared before about like one of our other friends who has One Love Social,
Mm-hmm.
Ashley Bissing, and she says in one of her talks, like, become 5 Mile famous. You know, that's like her pitch to her folks that she does the social for them, because for these home service businesses and some of these Christmas lighting businesses, that's as far as they're going to go. They want to go 5 miles, right?
Yeah.
So that's true for us too in the commercial side. 5 miles is great, but we want projects 50 miles, maybe even 100 miles. Some people maybe 200 miles till they get to like their bigger projects if they're in rural type of areas. So you can't just be 5 mile famous. You got to be maybe 100 mile famous, right? But that's the matter of, you're not going to become famous using Facebook ads for commercial Christmas. You're going to have residential people seeing you, maybe some of the people that work there, but our folks live on LinkedIn. They live on different platforms. And in the commercial space, the ads that they're running for their Christmas lighting business or their permanent lighting business aren't going to be seen by the people that are going to care about the commercial side. And it's not like you guys are calling homes either, right? That's the cool part. I mean, that's for me, when people say, "Oh, I hate cold calling. I hate getting those calls at my house." That's because people are calling your house. You're not like a city manager or somebody, in your marketing office. You're there 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever you're there for. They're waiting for your call. They
Mhm.
want they want us to call them because they want another bid. They want a third bidder, or they want a new idea, or they don't even know that we have a really cool fresh projection mapping thing we can use for them. They've never heard of it before. Like, that's the exciting part about this, is that being the local guy, you have that in, right? And you can just walk in the door and meet with them. Oh, I can be there Tuesday at noon. Can I take you to lunch? Right? That's the conversation point that really helps grow that business locally. And that's, if they're not able to do that themselves because they're so busy running their business, that's why you guys are like so important to our industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. And I want them to be. And a lot, like I said in the beginning, a lot of them have a second business, and there's sometimes some crossover there that's really beneficial. Like for an installer who also has a party rental business or an event business, or where they're willing to do corporate events. We recently had that where we called a resort and asked about their holiday program. They said they already had somebody, and the caller said, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, do you have any plans to do any holiday party for your team?" And they were like, "Actually, yes. Oh my gosh, we didn't think about that. Yeah, let's do that." And so we were able to set up the appointment. And sure, it's not going to be the 30 to $50,000 or more bid that they were hoping for, but if they can make that connection and get their foot in the door, it's that much easier for next year versus not getting in at all, right? So if there's ever a chance that we can, I call it a downsell. If there's ever a chance that we can downsell into something that's ancillary to the Christmas is always first, but always having that backup plan. And that's another part that makes it custom, because we know every installer, we know what the downsell is. It's not going to be the same for everybody.
Right. And it's different for every industry too. So
Mhm.
I know, working with the clients that are my clients, that I work with you together, and we talk about their struggles and their challenges, and every single client has a different challenge when it comes to this, is the industry they want to work with, or that they really are want to hone in on. So somebody may be in a big metropolitan area, and there could be 50 like really great hotels in their area, or there could be two, right? So
Yes,
it just
yes.
really depends on where they're located, and then what industry they want to work with. Maybe they don't want to work with the 50 hotels. Maybe they just want to work with the 5 local cities or the municipalities that are around them. Then that would be where, would you guys focus your calls based on that conversation for that client?
Yeah, what else is on that same note is interesting is we can help you get to your big goal. So let's say your big goal is to do 2 million a year in Christmas, just in Christmas, okay? But right now, maybe you're doing 500 to 700,000, and you're burning out. You're doing so many residential houses. There's more money in commercial, and there's like, you can make more with less guys and less time and all that fun stuff. But it's like, how do you get from here to there, right? Well, the answer may not be to jump today from, and Stacy will probably tell me I'm totally wrong, but feel free to. She's going to be so much better at getting you there than I am. But I've noticed that there's some people, they don't have the infrastructure yet, right? If they can't maybe go from doing, they can do $100,000 or $200,000 project today, but the idea of a really, really big project or a huge area where they don't have the storage yet, or there's like logistical pieces where their brains just like, oh my gosh, that's more than I could handle. If I got one job like that, and you can kind of even see them panicking for a minute while I'm talking about the types of things. But what's cool about it is we can do what they is in their wheelhouse. So like we're working with a gentleman right now who's told me HOAs is his bread and butter. And I pushed back on that, Stacey, because of what you said at Christmas Expo. I'm like, well, I mean, we haven't had a lot of luck, but sure enough, we ended up pulling some in, and the caller's getting great success with that. Standalone restaurants in his area, like
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A's and some
it
coffee
depends on
shops.
the location
It
too.
really does. And so, I mean, I only pushed back just because of what you said, but at the end, I'm like, well, he knows his market. We're going to go with it.
Yep.
And the cool thing is he might be getting 5, 10, 15K jobs, but if we can get that built up, that gives him that time to get more commercial and land those bigger and build that infrastructure so that, by next year we can start maybe going for those arenas or sports complexes and museums and some
Right.
of those
And it
larger
builds the
ones.
credibility, and it builds um their
Pipeline.
portfolio.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that a lot of people, I have calls all day long. Like I'm on these 15-minute calls all day. And I also have like 2-hour consultations I'm doing throughout the week. And the last couple of weeks, because it's now August, everyone's asking, am I too late? Am I too late? And I say, absolutely not. You're not too late to start building your prospecting list, because if you haven't prospected yet for any of these, you got to start. Like it doesn't matter if it's now or December or January or February of next year. Like we don't stop prospecting in the commercial side of this business. There's no time to stop prospecting. We
Yeah.
could be talking about any time of the year event for them, or at least finding out what they do and who they are, and getting to know what their program is, because if we don't ask, we'll never know. And if we don't have them on a list to call later, then we're never going to get the business. They're going to forget who
That's
we
so
are.
true. Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and
not
we're
too
still
late.
getting like 50-50. I mean, as 50-50 is about what I tell people. The large jobs, some of them maybe are already locked in for this year. But when you get into even resorts, smaller municipalities, they're waiting till the last minute. Many of them are. I mean, we still get people who are like, call us back in September, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
So Christmas isn't in the forefront of everyone's mind as much as we think it is, as much as we want it to be.
Just because it's in our mind doesn't mean they're thinking about it.
Exactly.
Or,
And they're
if they already do have it planned, at least then our callers can find out, okay, what's your process? When do we need to call you for next year? Like
exactly.
they're going to say, you need to reach out in February because in March we're doing our decisions or whatever it may be. So
Right.
it might not be immediate, which we also try and tell people when we start like it, a lot of times we see it's the 4th, 5th, 6th call. All of a sudden they're like, yeah, okay, fine, come over. Because now they realize like, you really know what you're doing. You're not going to stop you. Like you actually have a real business. And so it's definitely goes into that long game too. I mean, there are short wins, of course, but
Yeah, it really is the long game. And the stats, I don't know where they came from, but it's what I was taught many years ago, that it takes 9 touches to really get somebody to hear you. Right.
Yeah.
So in this type of business, it can be whether a touch is the first initial phone call, that's 1. And then it can be you send the email out, that's 2. Whether they read it or not, you'll know because you have it in the database. But then another phone call is 3. Then maybe another email is 4. That's only 4. You're not even halfway. You're like less than halfway there. So it's like it's a lot of that persistence. And then one thing you mentioned is if they already have somebody for this year, like that's great. Like that's great. That they have a Christmas program. That's a plus. They're
That is a
spending money with
plus.
somebody, right? That's a good thing. And then the second thing is you can ask, and this is something we'll talk about when we're doing more training with these Christmas callers. Now that the season is upon us, right? We can ask, okay, great. Can we schedule a meeting for you to walk through with, whoever it is, whatever company it is, during the season? How about, mid-December, we come by and do a free consultation for you on site and see if there's anything that we would recommend, or if anything that you'd like to talk about that you'd like to upgrade for next year. right? So that's the next stage in that is the appointment may not be, hey, we're ready to bid your project this year. It's, hey, what do you need for next year? Or what are you thinking about? Or what's your big dream, right? Because anyone who's like stuck handling the Christmas for their big property or for their city or whatever it is, sometimes they're not interested in doing it. Sometimes they're like, please just do this for me. Like sometimes they're like, we really want you to handle it for us. So just handle it. But if there's no walkthrough and there's no conversation and there's no saying, I can be there to do this with you, they're never going to get the job. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, is that you have to ask the question in order to get the answer. Right. And if we don't even know who the person is, it's like some of the clients I work with, and it's amazing how every client's different, but some of them are thinking like, well, I see every year the city puts up their tree and I just figured the city does it themselves. Like, well, did you call them? Have you walked in there? Did you find out from them? The city people are there every day of the week. They have to be there or they don't get paid. Right. So,
Right.
and they're just like, what do you mean walk in? Just walk in, talk to the lady at the front desk, bring some cookies. Hey, who does your Christmas? Here's some cookies for you guys. Like try it. What do you have to lose?
Right.
30 minutes
No,
of your
it's so
time.
true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what is
And
it?
especially if the initial calls have already been done, you're not quite the stranger if you walk in with those cookies.
You know what's
And
really
I'll be
interesting?
the stranger walking.
Yeah, I know you
Yeah,
don't
I got
care.
cookies. People like me.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
and to that point, I was going to say it's really interesting because what we found, this happened twice in the same week. I don't know if it was just something in the air or what, but like one of my callers called somebody. She had a very lengthy conversation with them. She sent over the client's lookbook. The venue went through it with her on the phone. She said, I'm going to take it up the chain of command. Call me back in a week. So, I mean, that's a like long conversation. The caller called back in a week and it's like the person completely forgot about it. Like she didn't even remember the conversation. And that, like I said, that happened twice in the same week. And I thought, okay, that is just a testament of how busy people are. And they're just not in the frame of mind of like, yes, let's go with Christmas light right now. Right. So with us calling, we're getting in there first. We're following up. Oh yeah. Remember that conversation? Oh my gosh, I totally spaced it. I did send it to my manager. I never heard back. Let me follow up them again. So like there is so much in the company side of it. There's often a lot of layers of people. You got to take it to the board at the HOA. You got to take it to the board at the municipality. You got to get your manager involved. Like there's so many people that we have to kind of babysit the lead until it, turns into something. So that's a lot of what we're doing.
Yeah, and the great part is that you know this business. You know that, well, the cold call or the call center type business, right? And that's what I was doing before I ever did Christmas, was cold calling for credit card processing company, right? Way back when when they just brought gift cards out, like this was a new thing. And I was calling business to talk about their getting gift cards and credit card processing for them. And I ran that department. And that's why I'm not afraid to make the call. But it's like people have lost the art of that communication. They're afraid to walk in the door. They're afraid to pick up the phone. And I've learned that it's the mindset, right? We have to like expect the best when we're getting on the phone with them, because if we think, oh, we don't want them to answer, they're going to hate me, they don't want to talk to me, guess what's going to happen? Like they're not going to answer, they're not going to talk to you, right? Because you don't want them to, right? So it's a matter of your callers are trained to push through that and to keep making that call, and that's their job, right? So once they get that appointment set for the Christmas light installer or the salesperson for that Christmas light company, then they get to do their job, right? So they get through that first layer of gatekeepers, and then find out the right person. And when you have the right person, and you'll know it's the right person, because they'll start telling you everything about their Christmas program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're
Or they're
really proud
really
of it or really
excited.
sick of it. One of the
Well,
two.
that or they know they need to do it and they are like excited because nobody's calling. And we found that like
Exactly.
and it's interesting too, because I'll just say this for the people listening, don't limit yourself based on, it's a fine line, and I get both sides of it, because on one hand, if you start going a little farther out, then you got to think about the maintenance side of it and being able to get out there if something goes wrong on a fly in the busy season. But at the same time, there's a lot of places that are on the quote outskirts that nobody's calling. And they are so excited when you get the hold of them because they don't know what to do and finding somebody. And those could be really good opportunities.
Right.
So I just think like that's why I say, if we can target certain areas, maybe strategically, you could always say I'm booked up at a certain point if I get too many far away, or try to keep them in a certain area. Like, for example, this is another example of how we're kind of custom. So one of our callers got a hold of some wineries in California, and she was able to book like 3 different appointments, and they were on different days just because that's how it worked out, but they were along the same drive. So the installer asked us to reach out and reschedule the appointments so that he could do them almost all on the same day. And we were able to get 2 of them to adjust to be on the same day. So, I mean, that's not a service you get when you have a virtual assistant who hands you an appointment. Like, you just take that opportunity and run with it and have to, finagle it yourself. But the caller's got a relationship now with that person. And so for them to call and have that conversation, usually it's not a big deal. And I think, Patrick, earlier you were asking too about some of the ways that the appointments can be customized and whatnot.
Yeah.
So our goal is always to book an in-person appointment. Like, that's always what we're aiming for. However, there's reasons why that doesn't make sense. It could be the venue. Sometimes the venue will push back and say, no, I don't have the time, or I don't do that. And we'll still, invite that. Or we might say, what about a Zoom call? Or if the client would prefer just a call. We have our system set up to where the caller can book on-site appointment, Zoom call, or Google Meet, whichever you prefer, or phone call. That way it can just be booked. We're still setting an appointment, but it's not in person. That can also be done. Like, we'll have a caller. This is examples of how your caller knows you, right? So rather than it being a cookie cutter system, oh, it's an appointment, you better show up, come heck or high water. This will be like, okay, under these circumstances, for example, if the venue pushes back about budget, we've had that happen where they're like, well, I don't know if I can afford you and I don't want you to have to come out here. And I mean, we could certainly say something like, well, and every client's different. Some clients will say, I don't even want to go out if it's not a 20K job or more. Others are happy with the smaller job. So depending on the situation. But if it is somebody who says, we'd like a minimum of X number of dollars, we're not going to get into the conversation of budget, but we're happy to set up a Zoom call or set up a face-to-face virtual meeting versus in person. And then if the budget makes sense, you can set up the in-person. So there's flexibility there. So that way you don't have to feel like you're committed and then, oh gosh, it was only going to be a $10,000 job and I really only want to do it if it's 20 or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, just getting them in front of them, and then they may love you. It may not work out with them, but they know another client who, they're going to go have dinner with, who owns a different business, who could really use your services. So that's the not what you know, who you know approach there. But yeah, just making contact and having a good impression, even if you don't work with them, you know, they could give you that referral without even ever working with you.
Right.
And then another point of that is, and you're going to learn about this, Lindsay, too, in this industry, is that a lot of these marketing managers or property management people, they don't stay at the same places for a long time. Like, some places is like an 18-month, 2-year turnaround,
Yeah.
right? So someone may have a program now at a certain property or certain project they're working on, and they know you from you calling and having a conversation. They really like you, but there's no budget or whatever. They're locked in a contract. That person may leave to somewhere else 10 miles away or whatever the next year. And then they think, oh yeah, what about that company that called me all those times? Been great conversations. Now we have the money, let's go. And that if we don't build those relationships and let people know that we exist as a company in the local area, then there's not going to be that opportunity. But it really is there's a turnover. Sometimes there's not. I had clients that I had the entire 17 years my last company I was with, right? But some people, the turnaround is there for a lot of the industries, depending on the industry that you decide to work in or the people you want to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does happen. That just reminded me of a conversation where, and something else that's interesting too. So sometimes when you're calling, like, let's say commercial property managers for shopping centers,
Mhm.
there's sometimes where you can get a hold of the commercial property manager, but they don't do anything to do with the lighting. They just do leasing. So then you're on this hunt, right? You're like, well, they'll tell you, well, that's not handled by us. That's handled by a different company. And then we're there trying to fish for that information. Oh, really? Who does it? Let me see if I can help them out.
Right.
Sometimes we get lucky with that, sometimes not. But then we can always do a deep dive. So our callers, this is like an internal process. Our callers are trained that if they come into a roadblock, so say we're calling for shopping center A and they find out it's just a leasing agency, they can't get anywhere on the phone. So we circle back to our Ashland, our enrichment specialist, our list manager, and then she does a deep dive where we dig deeper. So we go find the company that just try to do that, or maybe there's one that just does facility maintenance that maybe didn't get pulled into our list. So it's like I would say we have pretty good results with her. Very, very good results, actually. Almost sometimes too good. Like we get like numbers that get rang answered on the first call, which but that's not too good. But I mean, like, I'm just like so excited because that's
That's
like,
the
oh my
results we
gosh.
want. That's what
I
wants to
know,
happen.
but what I'm saying, the
Oh,
reason I
Lindsay, you're
say
just
that is
too good.
I know. Sometimes it's their cell phone number. And so that is something that makes me nervous sometimes, but I'm testing it right now because so many, especially with property managers, they use their cell phone for permits and
Yeah.
business and requests that their number,
They
their
have it on their
information gets
site
out there.
sometimes too. Like it's
Exactly. Most of them are fine with the calls. We rarely get pushback. I have the callers trained if we do how to handle it, but that's kind of what makes me nervous. But I'm just like, oh man, what are they going to say if we keep calling? No, it's fine. We get
well,
them and then
the
we
thing
get them
is,
to
people
book.
are happy to hear from the Christmas people.
Yeah.
Like people want to talk to us. They want to talk to us. They're not like upset when you're calling them. And if they are, then they're Grinches are not our client anyway.
Well, they're not the right one.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's
They
the
go to the
truth.
next one.
That's the truth.
The Grinch.
Yeah.
So in a couple weeks, we get to see each other, get to all be at the
Yep.
convention.
Yep.
That's going to be
Yes.
amazing.
Talk about
So
that.
what are y'all doing at the huge convention? Because I know we're gonna have both of us, Red Sleigh Workshop and Christmas Callers, were sharing a 10 by 20 booth, but a little birdie with a Christmas shirt on told me you guys were doing something special there a couple days before.
Yeah. Flipicon.
Clipacon.
Yep. It's exciting.
Awesome. I'm so excited for you guys. So Clippa, the ladies over there, Chelsea and Alice and all the and Courtney over there, like you're gonna love meeting them. Super, super great group. And you'll have a good time being a vendor in their vendor area. It's a much smaller venue
Yeah.
for the vendors, like compared to the giant huge convention that's so huge. The ClipCon is a much smaller venue, and you'll get a lot of one-on-one because no one is doing what you do. You're pretty much a standalone company that does this, which is amazing.
Well,
It's
that's great.
exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And the night before, we get to go to a reception where it's like, she said it's like speed dating. Like, we'll be at a big table and everybody gets a minute to talk to each other. And so we'll get to meet a lot of people and a lot of other vendors and a lot of other.
Yeah. Do you guys have that AI thing you wear that takes notes for you?
No.
Or do you have those glasses like Patrick has that record
No, I
everything?
saw that was such a smart idea. Patrick, you should do a whole episode on just how you guys your content stuff is amazing. How you guys do that. Um
I mean,
Called
we're actually
ridiculous amounts of
we're working with a restaurant right now, teaching them how to do social media. I'm teaching
yeah,
people how to do social media
of
posting
all
and
people.
That's
yeah,
you
I
changed
mean
my life, I'll tell you. That TikTok trick was like, oh my gosh, that was a game changer.
that's literally what I'm teaching people, and it's just like what
I know, isn't
it's the same thing. So,
that
um, but yeah, that
then we get to do projection on my house. So that's super fun.
yeah.
Oh,
So
you
we
told the secret.
yeah. So I
We
was just
haven't
gonna say
announced
that
that yet,
we have
Emily.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
a
that's fine. I'm
client
just
that we're
kidding.
gonna do a demo for in Orlando. That client happens to be Emily, but she's
Our client.
we're in the area. Monarch Projection. We're doing our weekly um, live projection where people can come in and comment stuff, and we'll make prompts through the AI bot.
We're
And
doing it tonight too.
yeah, we're doing it tonight
In a
at
couple
9
hours,
p.m.
2 hours.
Central. If you go to
Yeah.
Monarch Projection on Facebook, follow us, and then you can actually, suggest some prompts that you want us to do. But since we're going to be in Orlando for the huge convention, luckily our booth isn't too crazy, so it's not going to take us forever to set up. So we figured since we have some time, let's bring all the technology out there. And Emily and her husband were gracious enough to say, yeah, come do it on our house. So
Oh, my neighbors are so excited. My kids,
I'm
see,
excited.
like
there's
we
already
decided this
there's
2 hours ago. My kids are all like outside, like, you know what's going to happen here? Blah, blah, blah. Like they're so there will be tons of clients on our
Kids are
street,
the
I'm
best
sure.
salespeople.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
so fun.
that's good. Yeah, we already got a block party going, it
Yeah,
sounds
we get
like.
to stay up
So
late on a school night.
right.
Right.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. We're looking forward to tonight. I mean, and one of the most awesome parts about where we're doing it tonight is it's a red brick house. So red brick is the hardest to project onto when it comes to residential and commercial buildings. And it looks great. We've already done a demo here. So I just said, hey, this is such a big deal. Can we do this again? And they were like, yeah, totally come back and, show the world how good it looks on our house. And that's the thing, once you show people, we can talk about it and it's, oh, that sounds cool. But when you see it on a live, it's cool. But when you see it in person, I mean, we were at this house and people from down the street, the neighbors were coming up and they're like, whoa, what do we do this? And one of the little kids was like, I want to see Granny. And I'm like, okay. So I typed in
Granny.
Granny, hit, um, you know, enhance. So it made the prompt really crazy. And it made the person's house, it had a grandma sitting in a rocking chair knitting. And their red brick house turned into a knitted yarn house facade. Like it's wild how crazy it is. But those, just people in person, they see it and they get really excited about it because it's so cool and it's such a fun technology. So yeah, we're excited to go to Orlando and be able to do it there and show
Yeah,
it to you guys because I know you and your husband have been, talking about it since March and Light It Up
yeah.
Expo.
Whenever,
So
yeah, we're
so
so
now we
excited.
get to throw it on your house and give you a little employee discount or something.
Right.
So but yeah, if you go to Monarch Projection on Facebook, monarchprojection.com. I don't know if we have our socials listed on our website, but
Actually, I got to do that. I don't think I
I was
even
gonna
put them up
say I
yet.
don't.
Yeah,
Now
I
that
don't
I'm
think I
saying
did.
it, Stacy's gonna go in and
I'm
get
gonna
that
go
done
fix it
probably in the
after
next
this
30
call.
minutes. So,
Yeah. It'll be up in
um,
20 minutes.
but yeah. So if people want to get a hold of you guys, like I know you're gonna be at the huge convention, and when's Clipicon? Is that Monday and Tuesday, or is it just what day is that?
So I was just on their website today. Monday and Tuesday, they have some pre-training.
Okay.
Um, I don't think we'll be there for that, but Wednesday is the big ClipItCon doesn't kick off until Tuesday night. I don't know, Emily, if that's the social because they have two things. They have a Tuesday night thing and a Wednesday night thing. But ClipItCon is really just Wednesday, unless you come for the pre-training classes, which is Monday and Tuesday.
All right. So that's Wednesday the 26th,
Yes.
and then huge convention. We're gonna be there. We're gonna have a booth
Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. So
So
it's, go ahead.
if you don't get interrupted.
I
Just kidding.
apologize.
No, if you don't make it to ClipItCon, but you still want to come to huge convention, there's going to be a lot of vendors there. But really, Christmas Callers, like Stacy was saying, is a standalone company. There's no one else in the industry doing it, and there's call centers, but there's no one doing it the way they're doing it, and how much they can personalize it for your business. So, and then Red Sleigh Workshop's going to be there, so you can talk to us about all your commercial and residential needs. Get on a 2-hour consult with Stacy. She loves those. It's like her bread and butter, and she'll help you grow your business from wherever you're at. I mean, we have clients doing 50 houses, or clients doing 250 houses, or clients that are doing $2.5 million, but they want to get to 10 million. So we work with everybody. It's not just, oh, we're brand new, we've only been doing it for a couple of years and we want to get to commercial. We work with everybody. So, and you have Stacy Jordan here, the Christmas queen, who's been doing commercial Christmas for 23 years, I believe. I don't know. I always just round up to 25, but then she looks at me funny, so I stopped doing that.
You also want to make me 50 already, and I'm not there. Not yet.
Yeah.
So the huge
Yeah.
convention, I'm going back to that real quick. August 26th to 28th. It's on my calendar. Is that the right dates? Hopefully I'm telling the right thing.
The Clipicon is the 26th, and then the huge is
Okay.
on the next
The
two.
27th, the 28th
Yeah.
at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. And there's going to be over 100 vendors. There's also like pre-show classes that are happening there. We're not running any of the pre-show classes, but they are having, if you come early, you can find what those classes are. Gosh, I can't remember what they all are, but there's a bunch of them. So if you come into town, get a hold of us. If you come in early, we'll love to hang out with you and come by to Emily's house. We're inviting everyone over to her house to see the projection mapping going on. But when it comes to the event, that's if you can't make it to the huge convention, right? Where else are we going to be? That's a good question. Patrick, what's next after the huge
Oh,
convention?
I was thinking if I'm not after the huge convention, I'm going on an 8-day
Isn't there
cruise for my birthday.
Boise in September?
So, yeah, we were talking about Boise. That kind of fell through a little bit. So we've got a couple of days off in September, which is nice. But we are going to be at Gutter Summit in New Orleans, which is, let me move my calendar over, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, I believe, of September in New Orleans. So, I think Stacy's pulling it up here, but we're excited to go to that. Are we doing anything else? I don't know. All of a sudden, it's the end of September, so our season's starting. So I don't. All I know is we're going to be doing a lot of work in Florida this year,
So we
and
have
a
a
couple.
training coming up September 5th in Dallas, Texas. It's a
Yeah,
one-day training.
with certified
Intro to
lights.
commercial Christmas. Yeah. So Certified Lights has a training right before it. That is their hands-on regular Christmas light training. And then our training is right after there. So they can get back to back. They can learn about the regular Christmas lights, the safety and all of that when it comes to the training, and then immediately jump into the intro to commercial Christmas. So if you're interested in doing that, Certified Lights website is where you can find that.
And unfortunately, I'm going to miss that. I will be on a cruise ship. I'm taking some time off for my birthday. Me and my mom are going on an 8-day cruise, so it'll
You all
just
heard
be,
that his birthday's coming up.
yeah.
So, yeah, everyone has to harass him on his birthday.
Lindsay's going to be here on her birthday.
I'll be in the
Ooh,
Caribbean on my birthday, so you can text me all you want, but I won't get it because I'm going to shut my phone off. So.
Best part of a
But
group.
yeah, it's the best. So, but yeah, so we have that training, and then we are working on dates for our commercial Christmas in-person training here in San Antonio next year. That's right, we're already looking into next year. I know we've already
Mhm.
committed to go to Transworld again. We're also going to Light It Up Expo again. That's going to be in Vegas. And then we're already setting dates for our in-person training as well as our some trainings that we're going to be doing with Action Lighting next year. So
That's great. That's exciting. Yeah. Your trainings
Can
are
you guys?
really good. I'd like to add to that because when I sat through your training, I'll tell you, I've sat through lots of trainings. This is not a fluffy training. Like, I can't stand it when you go to a training and you pay a lot of good money and you walk away with like just one thing, or a big motivational push, but not a lot of substance. That is definitely not Red Sleigh Workshop events. They are packed with solid information that you can take to the bank. Like, legitimately, it will make money. So it is totally worth it. It's probably by far one of the best trainings I've ever seen. And I only went for a 2-day event.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we do work hard on all of that, and Patrick will know I'm up nights and nights making sure everything is exactly how people need to receive it. That's kind of my thing is
Sometimes
how
even the morning of.
what do you need to know?
Mhm.
I mean, there's that he does not like this part of me, but I do that too. But I wanted to share the testimonial video. Where do I start on this one, Lindsay?
7 seconds.
Okay, let's go. Go back to the screen. Boom. I'm at 7 seconds. Let me know if you guys can hear it because I don't know if it'll come through.
No.
No.
Well, it would help if I turn the volume on. Let's see. Nope, I can't even hear it either. That's interesting. The volume's on. Patrick, do you want to try to do it? It shows I have the volume going. So I don't know why it's not sharing the volume.
I don't even know. That was on YouTube.
Christmascallers.com. You can go there and it's there at the
I
on the
think
page.
Zoom has a setting where you can let the audience hear the sound. It's a setting.
So that's another good thing is how can people get a hold of you?
So christmascallers.com is the best way because there's the video
You'll
testimonials are
obviously
there.
chop it
There's
up, edit, and all that.
Go ahead. Do you want to just play it and I can tell it at the end?
Sorry, that was me messing with it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, and then also you can book a demo there. That's the best way because it gets you right on my calendar. But then there's also a phone number if you want to text or call, you can call through there as well.
I think Patrick got it.
Experience with Christmas callers has been really good. I was actually very reluctant to get going in the beginning because I just didn't think it was really going to be worth it. Thought it was going to be kind of waste of time. We've tried some of these other products in the past from different vendors, and it just really was a waste of time. This one has been a really great experience. We were able to provide them a list of a lot of our prospects, and they really kind of took the heavy lifting off of our back to get going on it because it is a very time-consuming, tedious task. And it's honestly been nothing but a good experience. We're over here in May right now. I think we started with them in February or so, and it's taken a little bit of traction to get, everything working out. But the system that they have in place now, it's through the roof. We're booking calls now, we're booking appointments, and we're actually going out in the field and meeting with the prospects. So it's been an exciting process, and I'm hoping to see it all, continue to fruition into something bigger and better.
Yeah, he was our beta client. So when he's talking about that initial process, it was a little clunky. We started out calling in his system because I just wanted to test it and see how it could work. And then he's been thankfully helped a lot with the beginning. I mean, honestly, between you guys like David, Brad, some of the early entry people, it's what's made it possible to make this because I wanted it to be something that installers truly need and adds that value. Their feedback has been instrumental, and their influence, has just been everything that we need. It's truly a blessing. Like it's come together quite quickly and I think really well.
I think so too.
We got a couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Philip Mueller was saying Chicago, so I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
he's saying
asking
that's
if,
where he's from.
oh, did we ask?
Yeah, I asked at the beginning,
Oh,
like, hey, say where you're from, and if you're watching again, tell me
okay.
where you're from.
Okay,
So
I wasn't listening. So,
I was talking.
but then we got Matt Mills on here. He was saying, "Hi, all. I will reach out. I'm definitely interested in chatting about this service. We are working on pushing more commercial work. So, yeah, this would be right up your alley, um, with Red Sleigh Workshop and Christmas Callers. So, definitely
Yeah,
reach out to
yay.
Lindsay and Emily. And then for us, we're on all the socials. We're on the TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. We also have redslayworkshop.com. You can book a 15-minute free consultation there. And then if you just want to email us directly, it's Stacy@redslayworkshop.com. And if she takes forever to respond, then just email Patrick@redslayworkshop.com and I'll get back to you pretty quickly. So,
Yeah. Then you
um,
can also the number that's on the website too, that you can call anytime. It's there.
yeah. Yeah, and then Matt, actually, interestingly enough, Matt Mills just said he's from Bozeman, Montana, which
Oh, nice.
we were gonna go out there and do a training this year. It just didn't work out. So we're actually working with Action Lighting to set up a spring training to do either a 1 or 2 day. We're gonna talk more about that because Elwood's gonna be at the huge convention. So we're gonna nail down some dates to do some training with Action Lighting. So that works out perfectly for Matt being in Bozeman. Um, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
Well,
reach out.
Bozeman's about 4 hours from me. I'm in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. So if he's in Bozeman, he probably knows where I'm at because we're
Mm,
not far from each other.
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. So
when
Pat,
we were
good.
gonna be in Boise, we were looking at that. Stacy's like, "Oh, that's in Idaho. Lindsay should come." And I'm like, it's pretty far." And then she's like, "Well, it's in the same state." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like an 8 hour drive." And she was like,
It
"Yeah,
is.
that's kind of far."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say that Patrick already mentioned about that we're going to be coming up at the Gutter Summit. That's coming up at the end of September. So if you're going to that, you can see us there. They also we're already planning for our training for next year. He mentioned that as well. So if anyone's interested in coming to San Antonio in the great state of Texas for the upcoming training, and probably February of next year, there's going to be
Well,
one.
and Lindsay was saying earlier that our training's not a bunch of fluff and a lot of bunch of, you don't just learn one little thing. But I don't know if you can tell, but I enjoy food. So one thing about our training is we all go to these trainings, we go to these classes, and you get Chick-fil-A or you get pizza or whatever. You get like this generic food. But when you come to a Red Sleigh workshop training for 2 days, we feed you well. We feed you local restaurants. It's There's no chain food. You're not gonna what you have here, you're not gonna be able to go home and get. We have awesome Mexican food, awesome barbecue, and then we go to our favorite local hangout. We go to a social event, and it's a truly unique place that you can't really find a lot of places like this around the country. So just, I mean, on that note alone, hey, yeah, you're going to pay for the training, but also we're going to feed you really well and we're going to have a great time. And that night that we do our social event, I also teach, show people how to do the projection mapping. Um, so it's really you're doing the commercial stuff, you're learning about your business and what you need to do, but you also are going to learn another skill on why you should add projection mapping and what it is, how easy it is to do it. And I don't know, I taught my first classes on it a couple weeks. I don't even know when it was. It was a couple weeks ago, a month ago. I have no idea. But, the passion that I have for this industry, for projection mapping, I didn't even know I had until I got in front of a room full of people and started talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's another add-on that we're doing for our training, our in-person training. Yeah, Matt says he was planning on going to the training, but it fell through. So definitely reach out, Matt. We can do some one-on-one stuff if you want to get it done before next year. Otherwise, yeah, reach out to Elwood and his team after in September because we should have some stuff nailed down at the huge convention. We're gonna kind of lock some stuff in while we're there.
Right. And something else that a lot of people may not be aware of, and sometimes when they do the consultations with me, they'll learn about it, is that I do have our 2 hour consultations that go in depth on your business, just personally, what you need, the gaps to fill in your business. And then I give you a 12-week plan. And then this time of year, I'm putting together the 4-week accelerator plan. I have to name it something. 4-week something fast plan. I think of some name. But instead of the 12 weeks, we shove it
You
into
should
four
call it
weeks, right?
the 6 week 6 shooter plan.
Oh my gosh, because I love those 6 shooters. You guys have
She
no
drinks
clue.
this coffee that has 6 shots of espresso.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Yeah.
It's sugar free, so it's fine. But
Could you
anyway,
imagine
so
if it had sugar in it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
anyway, so I can do the 2 hour consultation with anyone who's interested in that. It costs $500, and we go through your business from top to bottom, and I figure out what gaps are there and how we can better serve you, and then what the next steps are to do to get to the next level, right? So once you do that, you can either sign up with me on a weekly, monthly basis, or the 12-week plan, or just depending on what you need. And I tailor it for your particular business. It's not just one, it's not a cookie cutter one size fits all, just like the Christmas collars is not either, because we know that in this industry, not every company is built the same and not everybody has the same needs. So I'm happy to take those consultations and then push forward with that, what that looks like for each individual company, because that's I don't know, I love to see people succeed. And just like Patrick said, he didn't know he loved teaching about this product until he did it. And it's the same thing with a lot of these installers or these company business owners. Until they get in front of some customers and get these opportunities, that their eyes are open to something exciting. And I love to see that. So
Yeah, that's so good.
And
Well,
then I
thank you
didn't
so much for having us.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Good to talk to you. I'm glad you guys get to finally meet. We've got to meet both of you. So, um,
I'm so
we're
excited that this is what is happening.
I know.
right. Yeah. So
I
we're
know.
excited to see y'all. Everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a lot. Reach out to Christmas callers. I know they can help your business, and then reach out to us at Red Sleigh Workshop. And yeah,
All right.
we'll
Sounds
we'll
good.
see you on
Thank
Friday.
you.
See you
Bye,
guys in
everybody.
Very much.
Orlando.